Update. Am I wrong for ending a 20-year marriage because I learned my wife cheated on me while we were dating? Original post. My wife, 44 female, and I, 43 male, have been married for 20 years. We started dating in high school when I was a junior and she was a senior. We were long distance for her first 2 years of college while I was in high school and did 1 year at community college. Then we went to college in the same city for a year and have lived together since. We got married the summer after I graduated from college. Our marriage has been pretty great so far, but I initiated divorce after I discovered that she was sleeping with multiple other men for the 2 years that we were long distance. That's multiple. Wow. Just after Christmas, we got together with a few friends of hers from college to catch up, have dinner, and hang out. We talked about a lot of stuff, and my wife mentioned that we had met in high school. Not that we dated, just that we met. Her college roommates commented that it was crazy that we met in high school and had a few wild years in college, then ended up together. I played along and commented that I didn't know if my wife was as crazy as I was. The roommate started to tell a story, but my wife cut her off and said that she was uncomfortable about it. I sensed something was up, so I said that we actually started dating in high school and we were together for my wife's entire time at college. All of my wife's friends got real quiet, and the rest of the dinner was awkward. On the way out, one of her other roommates took me aside and said I should have had an honest conversation about what had happened. On the way home, and she kind of blew me off. I told her it was important that she was honest with me, and again she said it wasn't important. When we got home, I told her I was going to stay at my brother's house until she was ready to talk about what happened in college. The next day, she came over and admitted to sleeping with several men during her first 2 years at college. She said that she didn't consider it a big deal at the time because we were long distance and she didn't think a high school romance would last. I pressed for more details and she said it was at least 10 different men, including at least 3 guys that were introduced to me as friends when I came to visit on the weekends, and one guy she was still in contact with. I told her that I wanted a divorce and would be starting the paperwork as soon as I could, which I did on January the 2nd. Her family and most of my family is telling me that I shouldn't throw away my marriage over a few mistakes. I've stood by my belief that cheating on me with multiple men for years is unacceptable no matter when it happened, and the fact that she continued to maintain relationships with these guys right in front of me was an unacceptable amount of disrespect. We have 2 children, but they are 17 and 19, and I believe they will understand why I need to end the marriage. Am I wrong for leaving? I feel like I'm going crazy with the amount of people telling me to overlook years of infidelity and decades of lies. More info. I've hired a lawyer. He drafted an intent to separate and sent her a copy certified. As far as I know, that's not any legal divorce paper with the state, but rather a part of the process to ensure that she has an opportunity to hire her own lawyer if she wants to contest it. Actually going through the divorce will likely take months. I'm not really moved out. I've been crashing at my brother's place, but I will make arrangements for a more permanent living scenario. As far as timing goes, the dinner happened on the 26th. I went to my brother's house that night to cool off and give her a chance to think about things. We talked several times over the course of 4 to 5 days, and she made it clear that she didn't believe she did anything wrong. If there was any kind of remorse, regret, basic consideration of my feelings on her part, I probably would have waited. However, she didn't, so I found a lawyer, and he had boilerplate intent to separate agreements that we filled out and sent over the same day. Even now, we're obviously not legally divorced, and I don't even know if there is a legal concept of separation in my state, but I've made it clear this is happening and started the process. Now to the comments before reading the update. She cheated and lied to you, then maintained contact with at least one of her F-buddies and introduced you to many of the guys that were banging her. That is not only dishonest, but cruel. I think you are 100% in the right. Who knows what else she's done? You have no way of knowing. And no way of knowing if she was continuously cheating on you over the years, too. Yeah, that's part of what stuck with me the most as well. My marriage ended primarily due to my ex cheating on me. The part that hurt the most was that it was with her coworker. someone she made quick friends with, and someone who was trying to be friends with me too. We had him and his wife over to hang out and just him over on multiple occasions. Cheating sucks either way. But to be so brazen about it by waving your affair partner in front of your partner's face is something else. Certainly made me feel like a tool. I wish you the best, OP. Don't let anyone tell you it's not so bad because it was a long time ago. She chose to keep it a secret and would have continued doing so. I guess she didn't feel that guilty about it. That's not someone you can trust. I agree with that completely. If she had slept around in college and told you about it and reconciled, no issue there. But she kept it from you. She kept in contact with one. She introduced you to her flings as friends at the time. That's completely messed up. You are right to divorce her. She lied to you for 20 years. She does not respect you now or then. If she wants to do the work to remain in your life in any capacity, that's up to you guys. You should absolutely do what you need to do to feel comfortable with your way moving forward. She robbed you of your agency for 20 years and then invited people who had violated you into your life. I don't blame you for feeling whatever way that you do. Hope you and your children can navigate this as well as possible. And if there's a way you can live happily in whatever capacity with your wife, then I'm all for that too. Do what's best for you. F how anyone else feels. Wishing you the best. It would change a lot if I felt that she wanted to fix this. Throughout our conversation about it, she repeatedly dismissed my feelings and told me I was overreacting to totally normal behavior. She didn't show any regret or consideration for how it hurt me until she realized I was serious about divorce. Then she got defensive and angry. She didn't offer to fix things in any way until I started the paperwork and notified her that I had a lawyer. I think we can navigate being parents. Our kids are older and I've been putting away money for college and post-high school for a long time. So a lot of the custody and monetary issues that come up shouldn't be a problem. We're also both very financially stable and make good money. OP's edit. Holy shit, I'm glad I did this with a throwaway because the response is unexpected. I obviously can't answer every question or comment, but I wanted to provide some detail for common questions. The reason I posted this is that my wife and a few friends have been saying it's common to sleep with other folks when you're in a long-distance relationship, and then I'm kind of the odd one out for not sleeping around. I felt like I was being gaslit, but I wanted an outside perspective. We live in a state with a waiting period to finalize a divorce, so I felt it was a reasonable idea to get some insight before things are finalized. After these comments, I see a handful of folks saying it's normal to sleep around during a long-distance relationship, but it seems to be a significant minority. We saw each other a couple of weekends a month during the 2-year college period. I lived about 3 hours away from her college, so it was a long distance, but not like cross-country. This was not a situation where we went months without seeing each other. The 3 guys I met while she was in college were meetups that happened during parties. The subject of me being a boyfriend didn't really come up, so I honestly don't know if these guys knew anything. The one guy we're still in contact with married a mutual friend from college. This is not some guy she secretly messages on the side, it's somebody we've talked to regularly for years. I've talked to him a few times since I've learned about my wife. He said he didn't know we were dating at the time and has since blocked my wife on social media. Some folks have asked how the roommates didn't realize at our wedding that the timelines didn't work out. The main reason is that my wife and I had a very small ceremony with just close family in Texas, then went back to the East Coast to have a big party with friends. The typical reception sharing details about how we met stuff didn't really happen, so our roommates didn't realize we started dating before college. It sounds like they thought we only dated for the year we were both in the same city and then moved in together. I was open to therapy or some kind of attempt to save the marriage, but her insistence that this whole thing is common and I'm the one who is out of line is just too much for me. The only time she showed any remorse or even offered to reconcile is when I started filing paperwork. In the last week, she's gone back to saying she's right and I'm overreacting. This is also why I'm feeling like I'm being gaslit. It seems obvious that this is a major issue. but I've got my wife and others telling me it's normal and I'm overreacting. I'm not getting a paternity test unless my kids want to get one. I don't have any doubts that they are biologically mine and no test will make them not my kids. I love them more than anything in the world and my wife's infidelity won't change that even if one of or both of them is not biologically mine. They've been my kids for 19 years and they will be my kids until I stop breathing. Final edit. Hey all, I've been reading a bunch of the responses, but the things are getting crazy and increasingly unhinged. So I probably won't be checking in more. Here are a few more answers to common questions that I've seen. We were definitely exclusively dating at the time. First dating culture was a lot different 20-ish years ago, and exclusive was kind of the default for most people. Second, we had a long and difficult discussion before she left for college about continuing the relationship long distance. She specifically wanted to stay together and even joked about her dad coming after me if I started sleeping around with girls at my school. Finally, at my senior prom, she was not able to attend and was very upset when I proposed going with a platonic female friend of mine. As a result, I ended up skipping my prom and hanging out with her instead. While we never said the word exclusive, I think the above reasons combined with the general relationship before she left are enough to assume exclusivity. Based on some comments here, I followed up with a friend that said that I should have had an honest conversation. She told me that 10 guys would be on the low end, and that her biggest concern was that there was apparently at least one pregnancy scare that I didn't know about. I honestly don't think that really changes much. It's less about the number for me and more about the fact that she seems incapable of recognizing why this was wrong or why I feel betrayed. Thank you all for the helpful responses. Even those that disagree with me, I will still be open to therapy if she's willing, but I honestly feel it would be more about us being successful co-parents and finding closure than saving our marriage. Now for the update. First, let's talk about the things I learned about the situation in college. After talking to my wife in sessions and texting with 2 of her roommates, it's clear that her roommates knew something was up in college. They said that they thought the situation was weird and likely involved cheating. My wife had told them that we both had some wild times in college and worked it out before we got married, so they never really brought it up. The roommate who pulled me aside recently was uncomfortable with the fact that my wife clearly didn't talk it through with me and wanted me to know. As far as being introduced to guys she slept with, apparently that was not intended. For one of the guys, he ended up dating and then marrying one of her mutual friends from college. This is the guy she was in contact with. In the other situations, she initially blamed me in the counseling session, but has now agreed it was bad. When I went to visit her, she planned to hang out in the room or just hang out together alone, but I wanted to go to a few parties because in high school and community college, I didn't really have parties to go to. She didn't expect me to meet the guys, but they were at the parties and she felt that she didn't really have a choice. I still think this is kind of shitty, but it's not as bad as her intentionally parading me in front of the guys. Most of her discussion in therapy has been talking about why I think it's a big deal and she doesn't. She initially said that none of these guys were in relationships with her and it was mostly one-night stands or FWB. Since she didn't view them as romantic relationships, she didn't see the big deal. Her words, not mine. My opinion is that we never said that was okay and she actively prevented me from doing the same. After digging into this across 2 sessions and my wife talking to some friends, she now agrees that it was a breach of our trust and relationship. This is the shared understanding that has helped us talk about this situation more honestly and helped us get from arguing to talking, which is why I'm optimistic about co-parenting. Now here's why I'm 100% set on divorce. 2 things came up that make me want to leave the marriage. First, about 10 years ago, we went through a really rough patch and had a dead bedroom for about 2 years. She had expressed that our sex life was becoming boring. So I tried to spice things up. Nothing crazy, just role-play and like Spencer's gift level sex toys. Apparently she had been hung up on some sexual experiences that happened in college that she is not comfortable talking about and wanted me to try them. But when I did it made her feel awkward and guilty that it made her think of other men while she was with me. The fact that she's saying these experiences were meaningless, but they're still impacting our marriage tells me that they meant more than she wants to say. Second, she admitted that she has been flirting with coworkers on business trips since the pandemic ended. She says that she's never slept with anybody, but it got as far as going on a date with one of her male coworkers. That was the absolute deal breaker for me. We have told our children that we're getting a divorce. We told them it was due to some bad decisions that we made in college and that we're having trouble moving past it. My 19-year-old who is in college asked me if I'd cheated on my wife while she was away at college. My wife got a little shaken up but admitted to the kids that she's the one who cheated. We have agreed not to share any additional details with the kids. I reinforce that both of us will be there for the kids and that we're in therapy to help make sure we handle this in the best way for the family. I also told the kids that if they wanted to talk to either of us or a therapist about it, that I would fully support it. We've started talking to a mediator about how to proceed with the divorce, and unless things change, we should be able to have an amicable divorce. We're both financially stable on our own. We have no major debts and our kids are older, so custody isn't a major issue. This has been a crappy couple of months for me, but I'm doing okay now, and I honestly am grateful that my last post blew up because it both validated some of my feelings, but also motivated me to go to counseling with my wife. Story 2. My husband, 39 male, has thrown me, 27 female, under the bus to his family with his silence and complete lack of spine. How do I salvage this? Plus update. Original post. My husband Owen and I have been trying for a baby for years with no luck. I would be happy to adopt, but Owen's family is against it and has influenced my husband to also be against it. After our second year of trying, I begged my husband to go with me to get a checkup to see if either of us or both of us is infertile. He was strongly opposed to this as all the men in his family are extremely fertile, but eventually gave in, and as it turns out, his sperm count is extremely low. He was heartbroken, as was I, and we both got therapy. After a year of no longer trying, I got pregnant but lost the baby, and we were devastated. Owen blamed himself and proposed that we start the process of getting into a family planning center for a sperm donor, which I agreed to. He asked me that we not tell either of our families about this or our friends, and I agreed because I would never want to emasculate him. With the help of our donor, I was able to successfully become pregnant, and we had our little girl last year. She is healthy and progressing amazingly, and I thank God for her every day. I kept my promise and never told anyone. However, Owen is struggling with connecting with our little girl. Here is where the trouble begins. Last month, when he went out of town with his brothers for their friend's bachelor party, while on the trip, Owen told his brothers about her infertility issues and that her baby wasn't biologically his. One of his brothers must have told his wife, who told my husband's mother. I don't know why she would tell my husband's mother except that she has never liked me. Their mother then came to our house and called me a lying whore and tried to get my husband to leave her. He just stood there silent. I told her that it was Owen's decision not to tell anyone, and she asked him if this was true again. He was silent, which his mother took as me being the liar. She then went to her nursery and started taking everything she had ever given us for the baby back. I told her I didn't care about it, and I made more than enough to buy everything she gave us in better quality. This set her off, and she called my baby a filthy bastard when she said that I did something I know was harsh, but I believe she deserved it. I physically pushed her out the door. I didn't hit her, but I did put my hands on her shoulders, pushing her out the door, and threw all of her crappy things out with her. After spirits had calmed down, I realized my husband had said nothing when his mother was berating me, calling me a liar, and when she called her child a filthy bastard. So I asked him why he was silent. He said he wasn't raised to be disrespectful the way I was, and that his mother hadn't said anything that wasn't true. She was just hurtful with what she had said, and that we should let it go and wait for his mother to forgive us. I told him that I would never let it go, that his mother and anyone who agreed with her was not welcomed in our home, and that I don't need to be forgiven when I've done nothing wrong. He then said the house was his, and as the head of the family, it was his decision. I told him fine, but why did he allow her to call me a liar and a whore? Those things were not true, and our child, no child really, should be called a bastard. He just repeated he would not argue with his mother. After that, I stopped speaking to him and started gathering up my daughter's things and purse and walked out the door with her. He tried to stop me and told me I couldn't take his daughter anywhere without him, and I lost the little bit of composure I had left. I told him she wasn't his daughter. He'd proved he didn't see her as his daughter when he allowed his mother to call her a filthy bastard and told him she wasn't his. He broke down in tears and begged me to come back inside, but at the time, I felt nothing. He looked pathetic to me. I've taken my baby with me and gone back to my parents and finally told my family the truth, which feels so good. They are completely in support of my decision and are not allowing my spineless husband anywhere near us, as he still refuses to apologize to me or set the record straight with his family. However, I told the sister-in-law that I was close to the truth, and she told the rest of his family. Half of his family is understanding while the other side is on his mother's side, but they are all mad at my husband. I need to cool down, but I know eventually my husband and I need to figure our marriage out. One thing is for certain, I will not return to his house until he apologizes to me and promises to protect me and his daughters fiercely. I want to see this in action form, starting with him telling his mother what she did was wrong and banning her from coming to see us until she asked for my forgiveness. We were also planning on having more children as he wants a big family, but that is off the table as I don't believe he is ready, and we both need to get back into therapy. Now for the updates. Update 1. I want to start by thanking those who were so kind. Your words of encouragement and advice were greatly appreciated. Here is my update. Apparently, after I left my husband's house, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and sister-in-law accused me of cheating. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. I'd already begun speaking with a lawyer after Owen refused to tell the truth to his family, but knowing he let them tell other people I cheated is like getting punched in the chest. I'm now renting a nice 2-bedroom apartment. My siblings and their partners have helped me furnish it, and my top priority is ensuring my baby has everything she needs. Currently, I'm working to create a cozy nursery for her and hiring a nanny. Facing the end of my marriage is terrifying, but I'm learning to accept my new reality. When I notified Owen I was filing for divorce, he started calling and messaging nonstop. What a spineless guy. His messages range from begging me to come home, telling me he will tell the truth and get therapy again, begging to see our baby, and then threatening to drag me home. I told him the divorce was happening whether he liked it or not because he failed as a husband and failed even worse as a parent. He then sent photos and videos of my things in the garbage and him and my brother-in-law trashing the nursery. What a coward. His exact words, "I don't need it anymore." In the most disturbing video, he threw our baby's car seat in the dumpster. I do not recognize him or his behavior anymore. He claims to miss his daughter and me, but trying to make his behavior my fault is not doing what I'm told. This is not the man I agreed to marry. The man I married was smart, kind, gentle, thoughtful, and funny. But this vileness from him was waiting for me the moment I didn't obey and take the disrespect from his family to save him from the humiliation of his infertility. Before the fallout with his mother, he was nothing like this. It's certainly not an excuse, but I believe it all centered on him feeling emasculated and humiliated by his family. I just can't believe he couldn't at least stand up to his family for me and our baby, the one he said he would die for. I'm not blocking Owen, as my lawyer said to email everything he says to me to him, but the constant threatening messages make me scared to leave my home. Owen knows where I work and has repeatedly told me he will drag us back if that's what it takes, and that I'm making him do this. My lawyer and I are working on a restraining order, but every woman who was attacked by her ex-husband knows restraining orders don't keep you safe. However, things took a turn when my father-in-law showed up on my parents' doorstep, and it's the reason I decided to update. My father-in-law asked to speak with me. My parents told him that they would call me and ask, but if I said no, then that was final and he would not be welcome back. I only agreed to speak with my father-in-law because he told my parents he was there to apologize for his family and set the record straight. My dad called me as my father-in-law was blocked from calling me, and then I picked up. My father-in-law immediately apologized for his wife's behavior. He wanted to hear my side of the story as he did not believe I cheated. I thanked him. I was never close to my father-in-law, but we've always been civil, and let him know, of course, I did not cheat. I told him of his son's infertility and that Owen proposed we get a donor. I told him very clearly it was his son's decision and that because my father-in-law and his family put blood as the only valid form of family, my husband made me lie so our child would be treated equally. After I finished, my father-in-law seemed stunned. He was quiet for a while, then asked if his wife and son could come over and see my daughter in person as they missed us and were ready to be a family again, but I told him no. Father-in-law then asked if there was anything Owen could do to fix the marriage, and again I told him no. Father-in-law tried to say I was being unfair, but my dad stepped in and said father-in-law was overstaying his welcome. Before I hung up, I told father-in-law that his son was sending me abusive messages daily, and if he was truly sorry, then he should make his son stop. Then I hung up. My parents said my father-in-law was irritated that I did not respectfully say goodbye or give Owen a chance to save his marriage, but left with little fuss after my parents laid into him about raising his swine of a son to threaten his wife and child. Telling his father must have worked because I haven't gotten a single message from Owen since then. I do not want anything from my soon-to-be ex, not child support, not alimony, not the house, or any of his other assets. I just need him to agree to the divorce and give up his parental rights so my little girl can grow up with a family who loves her unconditionally. I have a good degree and a great job. My child and I will be fine without him. Owen's lawyer has made it clear that they're going to fight for full custody, and my soon-to-be ex has significantly more money than me, but my lawyer is confident in our case and I trust them. Today, my mother-in-law has been trying to contact me as she wants to be in my daughter's life and is saying she is ready to accept her as she is, as if my daughter needs to be accepted by her. It's up to me. Their whole family will never see her again. Additional comments from OOP. Owen has destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars of electronics, clothes, furniture, and paintings. That's the only thing I will be making him pay me back for. I don't want any of his assets, just the things that I worked hard to earn and he destroyed. There is a report. I don't know what will come of it. I had been living with my parents for 2 weeks before the first post and had already started talking to a lawyer. Whether or not me and my husband worked on our marriage, I planned on not living with him for at least a while after he said it wasn't my house, and my parents pressured me to get a divorce attorney immediately when I moved into their house. Even when I slightly thought things might work out, I was preparing. I went back and forth mentally, but I knew that this was not sustainable. My family did most of the work finding me an apartment and paying for furnishing it. It just took a while for me to leave my parents and physically move in. The only true recent update is my father-in-law talking to me and learning through my other family my mother-in-law wants to reconcile. Update 2. Firstly, I'd like to answer a few questions many seem to have. No, I did not sign a prenup. Yes, my mother-in-law was very controlling from the beginning of our marriage, but my husband set boundaries with her when I asked him at the time. Back when I was confident he would hold to those boundaries. My husband and I are not American and we do not live in America. That is all I'm comfortable saying on location or ethnicity. A 12-year age gap is not uncommon for us, and my family was 100% for the marriage at the time, as he was seen by all as an excellent match. For those saying I was wrong for not allowing my husband to see my daughter, you can kindly show yourself to the door. He has forfeited any rights the day he allowed her to be called a bastard, and his continued actions or inactions afterwards, I think, make that abundantly clear. Not wanting alimony or any compensation might be difficult for some, but I will not struggle without his money, and neither will my daughter. I may not have as much money as my soon-to-be ex, but I have a good amount saved, and I thankfully have never stopped working. My family has also put aside money for my daughter, and everyone is very supportive of us. I understand some might think I'm entitled to half of his assets, and that may be true, but I don't want them and I don't need them. I trust my lawyers. They are doing an excellent job. I've already made my decisions and I stand by them 100%. Some of the evidence I've handed over of my husband's threats and the videos of him destroying our things will be admissible in court, but not all of it. My lawyer thinks that what we have is enough for full custody, but I'm still nervous. Our divorce is another matter. I believe he simply wants to hang on to control. I have only spoken to him in person once since I left his house, and when I look him in the eye, I can tell he doesn't love me anymore, or even likes me, which hurts a lot more than I expected. I don't understand why he won't agree to a non-contested divorce except control. Owen has partially paid me back for the damages to my property. The rest will be paid out in the coming weeks. We have settled this out of court. I was able to get the restraining order against my ex, but not my mother-in-law or the rest of my ex's family. My mother-in-law continues to harass my parents to convince me to reconcile. This is a massive embarrassment for her family. My sister-in-law, the one who told his mother about my husband's infertility and started this drama, still tells people I cheated, but my friends have ripped into her lies and few people believe her. Being alone has made me realize that I've been functioning as a single married woman since my little one was born, but now I have less of a burden on me. There are good days and bad days where I break down. There is much about my life before that I do miss, but I will never go back. I'm thankful the truth is out, even though it has caused me to lose a few friends, as they've taken the side of my husband. They know the full truth, and they still chose my husband's side. Thank you to all those who offered kind words of support. We are safe. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.